Hi, everyone. Welcome back to week 3 of our weekly affirmations for creatives. I'm Michele Tracy Berger, and I'm so happy that you're here. Today's affirmation is every time I sit down to write, I imagine an ideal reader waiting for my words. Every time I sit down to write, I imagine an ideal reader waiting for my words. Let's break that down for a little bit. So I think it's really powerful as a writer. And if you're not a writer, you can adapt this to whatever makes sense for you in terms of your creative practice. But for a writer, it's really helpful to, if you don't have a sense of who your ideal reader is, to cultivate that. And part of the way that you do that is to be in writing workshops and writing groups to get people's feedback and to begin to get a sense of what kind of reader might like your work, right? Are they very different than you? Are they very similar to you? What kinds of, stories excite them? And to then begin to flesh out this idea of an ideal reader so that when you are sitting down to write, you actually can imagine and hold that vision of your ideal reader loving your work. And for a long time, one of my ideal readers was someone in my writing group. I knew her well. I really liked her aesthetic take on things. We had similar tastes, we had similar interests. She was a very thoughtful reader, she was a very careful reader. She was open. She didn't define herself by genre. She would read anything and everything that just captured her imagination. If the story sounded good, she was there. And I like to think of myself as a writer that can cross genres. So I'm not necessarily looking just for an ideal reader who is in a particular genre. So that would be my first suggestion to you is even before you embrace this affirmation, just sit down and sketch out for yourself what are the qualities that your ideal reader has. So that's the first part of it. And then I love this sense of they are waiting. We're imagining them. Affirmations are aspirational, right? So we are imagining that they are just waiting for our words, right? And so we're kind of in this affirmation, we're kind of trying to get that momentum that we believe in, that someone out there is excited and open and eager for our work. And when you're first starting out as a creative person, I'll just use the writing path as an example. No one is there actually waiting for your work, right? You're maybe if you're taking a class, your professors or instructors, but really, like you don't have a readership yet. So no one's there waiting for your words. And it can take a while for you to cultivate a readership, right? So this affirmation can really get you in the sense of if you do that preliminary work of thinking about imagining your ideal reader. What do they look like? How are they dressed? Like what books are on their bookshelf to kind of have that sense. And then when you use this affirmation, that gives that kind of that picture, that energy over time. I'll say it one more time. Every time I sit down to write, I imagine an ideal reader waiting for my words. This can be a very powerful affirmation for you. And I also want to say, just in terms of how it's framed, if you're someone who's done affirmations before, you might have got into a habit of doing I am affirmations. So I am a successfully published writer. There's nothing wrong with doing I am affirmations. I, however, also like to mix it up. My brain likes novelty. Your brain probably likes novelty. And when you're doing an affirmation over a long period of time, it's nice to mix things up. So I just want to encourage you if you're going along writing your own affirmations or adapting my affirmations to play with word choice to make it fun and not feel very rote. I hope this inspires you and I hope you have your lists and ideas and pictures in your mind about your ideal reader, or ideal viewer if you were a dancer. Lots of different ways to think about that. The ideal, um, collector if you're someone who does sculpture or pottery. You can adapt this affirmation in all kinds of ways. Let me know how this lands for you. Love to hear how it's going, and I'll see you next week.